Yo, little dope people of YouTube. So I was actually talking to a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, and I was talking about how relationships are today in comparison to how they used to be, right? And I look at some of the most successful relationships around me that I've personally known, and I've looked at the ones that have failed, and just analyzing shit, right? And we had this discussion. What I was saying is, a lot of the problems that our generation is facing, none of these things were problems in our grandparents' generation or their generations, right? And majority of these problems, this conversation is kind of going to take a left turn somewhere along the way, very shortly. Morality, man, it got lost somewhere between the generations. And then a major thing that we noticed in this discussion, right, when we were talking about the relationships that were long lasting today, the people we knew, and those relationships where they have kids and they've climbed the economic ladder, and they went from like the upper lower class to then middle class, then upper middle class, and then even sometimes into the lower upper class, right? All these relationships are fucking hectic as fuck. And something that was consistent in all these relationships, and by no means am I advocating for abuse, okay? That I am not advocating for any type of abuse. But the observation me and my female friend made is that once in a while, the female in that relationship gets checked. Okay? Am I okay with that? I don't know if I'm okay with that or not. I don't feel this way or that way about it. But every now and then, something horrendous happens where, the relationship, if it was anyone else, it would be over. But in that relationship, the husband comes home and is like, what the fuck? And smacks her ass, and she never does it again. And on the other side of that coin, these women are rowdy too, right? So like, sometimes the dudes fuck up and they get checked by their wives, and they tend not to do it again, right? Now, is that better than a divorce? In my mind, it kind of is. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, first, you chose him, right? You chose her. The way I see it is like, I think it's better to have those ups and downs in relationships, but yet have a healthy relationship. Some people might argue that that's not a healthy relationship. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's healthy enough that it's successful, that it's been going on for 20 years, and it's not like people are walking around abused, right? Because I think there's a big difference in someone being abused, right? And someone just getting checked, right? Like, there's a big difference in that. And some people might understand that, some people might not. But what we were talking about, it was just interesting that the majority of relationships we know that are long-lasting and consistent, every now and then someone flies off the rails, man. Like, what the fuck? Did you really post these types of fucking pictures on your Instagram? And like, pop. That's the last time they post those types of pictures on the fucking Instagram. Or they can do it like you people with failed relationships and be like, hey, I don't like this. And then they're like, hey, But I feel like, and they keep doing it, and then they get DMs and dick pics and stuff, and then there goes your whole entire fucking relationship like 3 years later. Right? I mean, I can count on my fingers the amount of relationships that are successful where no type of abuse exists. And I can only think of one. I'm 36, all right? I can only think of one where everything is good. Like, both people fully understand that there's boundaries and there's limits and they don't cross them. The other successful relationships, they know the boundaries, but every now and then people cross them and then they get checked, you know? And but because they get checked, the relationship continues. Rather than being like, you know, you're not the right type of person, I'm not gonna allow this, I'm gonna leave, or they're gonna be like, they put their foot down, I'm gonna keep doing this, and whoop-de-whoop, and then just another statistic, there goes that relationship. Fuck the 3 kids you guys have, fuck the 15-year relationship, right? Over some fucking stupid shit, over DMs, right? Wouldn't it have been so much better, like, just to have gotten slapped or had something thrown at your head, and then that problem was solved? He never fucking he never started talking to broads on Instagram and all this shit. Or she got slapped and she never did, she stopped fucking using Instagram. Like, which one would you guys prefer, right? As a dude, like, honestly, fuck it, man. Like, I'd rather fucking, I'll cat cheat once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Throw something at me. Remind me I'm important to you. You know? I don't like you doing this. It's not okay. You know? Got me holding a bump on my head, thinking, damn, this bump fucking hurts a little bit, you know? But the bump reminds me, like, I think she's right. I'm getting careless. Yeah, I need to fix the errors of my ways. I knew a dude, Suge Knight. I've seen Suge Knight many times because I'm from Hollywood, alright? This older friend of mine, he was a defensive lineman, alright? This guy would have had no problems bodying Suge Knight. And Suge Knight was not a small, weak person. Suge Knight also played some football, I believe college. This homie was massive. He was massive. Former gangbanger, like hardcore gangbanger, turned into a football star, retired, and he started doing family therapy and counseling for kids and all kinds of stuff, man. Like, just this humongous monster of a human being. Because his wife was like 5'3". And this dude had to always call the cops and have his wife get arrested, you know? And the reason why is, like, he had a bunch of bitches on the side. It is what it is. And she would find out once in a while. And she would hit him with shit, you know? Like, hit him with the broom, hit him with some. And this guy always, like, just, because he was my neighbor and I was real close with him. A real tight dude, man. But he was so massive of a human being, he couldn't hit her back. He literally couldn't even slap her back. Like, he was just beyond what a normal human being is, you know, in terms of power, strength, and capability, you know? But yeah, I mean, I'd see him. He'd be in his shorts. He'd be bleeding from his arm and shit, or bleeding from his head. And the cops are coming, and she's yelling. And he's like, "Hey, dude, like, I have to call the cops, man. I can't. There's a limit, you know. As dudes, like, there's a limit. I'm gonna end up putting hands on her, and she's gonna get hurt. So for her safety, it's better for her to go and just spend the night in county jail, and then, you know, obviously he bails her out and then drops. There's no charges. He just asked the cops to take her for a fucking day, you know. And him being who he was, like, it was a consistent thing. The cops understood the situation, you know. I understood the situation. He understood the situation. But even him, he would take that from a 5'3", little tiny 100-pound woman and continue his relationship, you know, because he was a man. He was a man. He had kids. He was a good father. He had a lot of great qualities, you know. Obviously, that's why that woman never left. She just, you know, he had shortcomings too, like every human being, and it just happened to be that he was an attractive male, and women just, it is what it is. Women are hot, and because women are hot, it's like, yeah, it's one of those things. But I don't know. I'd love to know you guys' opinion, and yeah, solo yolo bolo, peace.